This is Amy Chan from CakeDecoratingSchool.com, and if you like cake decorating, you're in the right place. Welcome to our flower series. In this video, we're going to be piping buttercream poinsettias. The video is broken down into segments, so you can skip ahead, rewind, and rewatch as desired. So we're using our American or simple style buttercream. I've got a couple of ounces in my cup, and I'm going to start mixing my colors. We're going to use red, a little tulip red, some royal blue, and finally, just a little bit of lemon yellow. I'm going to start by making the red color for my poinsettias. Keep in mind that poinsettias actually come in a variety of different colors. There's pinks, some kind of white, cream colored ones, and ones that are kind of greenish. I'm just going to give us a couple of good drops of that red, and then one or two of my tulip. And I like to use the two different reds to balance it out and get a really nice rich color. So the red is kind of a cool tone red, and the tulip is kind of a warm one. And I find that mixing the two together is a great way to get a nice Christmas red. And I want to stop mixing in color when I kind of get to that point where it looks like a dark pink and it might almost be red. So it's not quite there yet, but almost. I think maybe 2 more drops of that red, one of my tulip. And then when it has a chance to deepen, it's really going to give me a really nice color. One of the benefits of the tulip is it's one of those no taste colors. So if you're worried about using too much red and it having too much flavor, blending the two can give you a really nice effect, and also can cut down on that taste of the food coloring because you're using some of that no taste tulip to help build up the intensity. But I find that the mix of the two together gives me a really nice Christmassy red, and that's going to deepen up to a really great color. Right now it's kind of on the verge of being like a super dark pink, maybe almost red, and you're kind of starting to question your sanity and you can't tell the difference, and that's a great place to stop. I find that usually means it's going to deepen to a really beautiful, vibrant color without being oversaturated. So the next thing we're going to do is mix a little bit of yellow for our centers, and I actually have some of my lemon yellow and royal blue out on a little lid here, and I'm just going to use a toothpick, not because we don't want a bright color, but just because we only have a little bit of buttercream in there. We don't need a ton of color for the centers. So I'm just going to mix up a tiny little bit of yellow. We want a nice, vibrant, bright shade that'll really read well and pop out against that red, and I think this is going to be perfect. So just 2 big specks was enough to do it. So we have that nice, bright, sunny, lemony yellow. So our final color is going to be a little bit of green, and I just have a little bit in there. We don't need too much for our centers, so I want to make a nice green, kind of right there in that kind of leaf green, Christmassy green range. So almost equal amounts of yellow and blue. I'll give it a mix around, see if I like it, but I also want it to be fairly intense because we're going to have that bright red color, so we really want the green to stand out. And that's looking beautiful. I think it's just a little bit on the yellow side for me, and I want to make sure it stands out against the yellow we made as well, so just want to pull it a little bit over to the blue. So just mix a little extra of that royal in, and that should take us to a beautiful kind of Christmas green. There we go. So that's a nice, wonderful color. It's going to really read well against the red we've made and also help our yellow pop out. So let's talk about the bags and tips we're going to use to create our poinsettias. The first, we put our yellow in a bag with a number 2 tip, so just a small plain round tip. It could be a 1, a 2, or 3. The idea here is that it's smaller than the one that we're using for our green, and you want a couple of sizes in between. And then for my green, I've used a 5, so a larger round tip, and so you can notice there's 2 sizes between these because I'm going to make bigger dots with my green and do smaller dots in the yellow on top of those to create those centers. And that's going to give it some depth and dimension, which is going to be fantastic. And finally, my third bag is my tip for my petals. Oh, there we go. and it is a number 352, and you can see it's one of those V-shaped leaf tips. Now, important thing to note with poinsettias is a really easy flower to size up or down. So I'm using my 352 to make the size that I want today, but I could use something like, I think it's the 366, which is the oversized decorator version of this, or I could use any of my smaller leaf tips, and you can use those W style ones as well. As long as you can pull a nice fat leaf with it, you can make poinsettias with any size really with this technique, right? You just need a leaf tip, and that's going to determine how big or small they would be the size of the opening of your leaf tip. So that's just an important thing to note. You can make poinsettias of all sizes, do them with a variety of different things, and recycle this technique in a bunch of different ways. So let's talk about the techniques that we're going to use to create our poinsettia flowers. We're going to pull our petals with our 352 leaf tip, just the way we would leaves, but we're going to make it a nice elongated shape. So rather than just squeezing and pulling away quickly, we're going to move slowly and then pull away quickly. So same as I normally would, the bag is going to be at a 45-degree angle. I'm going to touch one of the points to the surface. The tip is kind of, well, I guess you would call it like ambidextrous. It doesn't matter which point, right? It's the same no matter which one you touch with. And we just want to squeeze, let it get nice and fat, and then move slowly. This allows you to build up some length before you pull away, and you get a nice elongated shape that you can make wider in the center and taper out. Depends a little bit on how you pull. And you just want to kind of work on your control, maybe practice on the tray a little bit first before you move onto your nail or anything like a cupcake. And you can see we get a nice elongated shape to that that's going to create those petals when we join them all together. The other thing we're going to do for this are dots. So it's going to be the same with both the green and yellow. The green is going to give us bigger dots because we have a bigger tip. So for our green, we're just going to hover right above the surface, give it a nice squeeze, create a nice full dot, and finish it off. So just do a quick little circle after I stop squeezing and pull off to the side. That's a great way to kind of shear off that little point you would get on the top. And then for the number 2, we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to go really tiny right on top of our green. Oh, and I didn't quite connect there. Just remove that. So make sure you get close enough so that your dot connects. And we're just gonna go right on top of our green. So it gives us, I don't even know what to call it, but it's a cute little kind of almost like tiny little green eyeball there. And they have these little complex centers. They almost like look like little berries in the middle. And they usually have a slightly greener base, and they're a little yellow, sometimes even a little red on top. So you can play with the colors for the center to really create some unique looks that are a little more realistic. But it's really just 2 basic techniques. We're going to pull the petals just like we would a leaf. We're just going to elongate it. And then we're going to do a series of dots in the center to create a nice realistic feel that has some texture and depth. So let's talk about how we take the techniques we just discussed and use them to build our blossoms. The first thing we're going to do is pipe an outer ring of large, longer petals. So we want them to be fatter and longer, and we're going to leave a void in the center. So if you need to, and you're doing this a flower nail on paper, you can always draw a little circle on the back of your paper so you have a good judge of where to start, and you make sure you're leaving a nice void in the middle. And then we're going to go ahead, use the same technique, except this time we're going to go a little bit shorter, a little bit skinnier, so not squeezing as hard at first and pulling away just a little quicker, to create some smaller petals. And we're going to go with these and go a little inset. So we're going to create a smaller area there, right in the center. We're going to decrease the size of that void, and we're going to make them so that they're kind of offset in between those larger petals. You just kind of want to fill up the space. If some of them lay directly on top of each other, that's totally fine. It doesn't have to be perfectly offset. You want to more so worry about filling up the space and making sure that all the petals kind of touch together. And then finally, we're going to pipe the green. Just go in a nice concentric circle. I like to start on the outside edge, just on the base of those inner petals, and then fill in the middle. You can even do a second layer on there if you really want to create some height in the center. And then we're gonna go on top of that with our yellow, just like we did in our little technique demo, and put a dot of yellow on top of each of those dots of green. And that'll finish our poinsettia blossom. And these are ones that are easy to do on your flower nail, even directly on a cake or directly on a cupcake. So I'm going to get started with my poinsettia. I've got a little buttercream on my nail to stick my paper down, but what I just wanted to show you is I took a Sharpie, I traced one of my cookie cutters. It's about 1.25 inches in diameter. The actual diameter is not that important. Somewhere around 1 inch is going to be good. You just want to make sure that you're leaving a void in the center. And if you have that kind of circle pattern, it's going to be easy to go around in a circle instead of just picturing it in your imagination, especially if you're just starting out. Drawing little templates in the back of your paper can be super helpful. So with that down, and I've got it kind of centered in the middle of my nail, I just want to start, and I can go right on the line or a little bit in, and I just want to pull those nice, fat, big leaves and give myself a little point. And you can see I went so it got a little fatter and then tapered nice and slow. I'm just going to continue around the circle and do as many as it takes to fill it in. So just a little over from the one before, you want to leave space for them to balloon out. And if they end up knocking into each other a little bit, that's just fine, but you don't want them to be overlapping too much. There we go. So just nice and slow. The key with this is to take your time so you can pull those out and just relax your pressure a little bit as you're getting towards the end and you're ready to make your point, and then give it a nice tug. So slowing my pressure down and then pull. And then I'll probably take one more big one to fill in that area. Beautiful. And you can see now I have a nice circular area in the middle, and the whole thing has a great vibe going to it. I'm just going to readjust my hold on my bag. And now for the second row, I'm going to make them a little bit shorter, a little bit skinnier, a little bit smaller, and I'm just going to start in between two of my petals and just a little bit inset. So you want to be able to touch that point down on that surface. So I'm just going to start, and it's really maybe about like 1/8 of an inch in. Same technique, just a little quicker because they're going to be skinnier and shorter. And I just want to go all the way around. And sometimes if I'm lucky, I get it so they all line up in between my bigger petals. Every once in a while the spacing doesn't quite work out, but that's not a big deal. And you can see I'm just kind of sliding along at a nice gentle angle. I'm not quite moving with the 45-degree angle of my bag. I'm just pulling it off to the side, but not straight out. So it's more like, I don't know, about like 20 degrees because I want them to kind of pull up a little bit and not be flat against the surface. That gives us a nice little kind of bit of depth to the flowers instead of them looking kind of flat and limp. It gives them, you know, just, I don't know, a little bit of height, a little bit of depth, and that kind of look like it's got a nice little slope in towards the centers. So with that ready, I'm going to go in with my green. I'm going to start on the outside edge and try to make it a little more circular. You can see I've kind of lost my shape a little bit squeezing those petals in. So I just want to go ahead and just nice dots all the way around, nice and kind of compact. I really want to fill the space in. And if you need to or want to, you can put a little color down in the bottom. Sometimes I just draw a little circle with my bag if I feel like maybe I can't fill it all in, just to make sure everything is connected so that they're nice and stable. And I got 2 there in the center. So that's actually looking really good. I like the look of it kind of sloping downwards towards the middle. That gives me the nice feel that the actual flowers have. And just make sure that my yellow is coming out nicely. And just go in there and make nice little yellow dots. On top of each of my green ones. And I lost that one. And there we have a beautiful, vibrant poinsettia. They're perfect winter flowers. We've done ours in red, but they come in a variety of different shades like pink, white, cream. There's some that are even bicolored, so you can really have fun striping the bag, playing with the colors, and it's a great easy way to make a vibrant display for the holidays with just a few simple techniques, because we're essentially just pulling leaves and making dots in the center. So this is an easy flower to practice on a cupcake, so we thought we'd give that a go as well. And you want to do the same thing that we did on our flower nail. We want to leave a nice little void in the middle. So you just want to come in about, I don't know, that's about like 3/4 of an inch, and pull those nice fat petals. Remember to let them taper. So we're going to build up, move slowly, and just relax our pressure, or move a tiny bit faster. Either one works. As we're finishing it off. And this is an easy way to really fill up the surface of a cupcake really quickly if you're looking to do some last minute holiday decorating, or you've got anything like a bake sale going. All of which are really common. I always find there's always a need for last minute holiday treats, even if they're just for yourself or your family and friends. So I'm just going to go around. Second row, same thing, just a little bit skinnier, a little bit shorter. And you can see that's an easy way to really fill up almost the entire area there. If I have any little gaps, sometimes I'll go in just with green in a bag with a 352 and pull some little leaves, but you don't even really have to. Then I'm just going to go in and round out this area with my green. Just do those nice big dots all the way around. They can kind of cover up the edge of the red. And then right there in the center. And once I've done that, I'm going to go on top of them with my yellow. Just give it a nice dot on each one. And there we have a simple and quick way to decorate cupcakes for the holidays. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like more about the cake decorating materials and equipment we use, or just some inspirational videos about cake decorating itself, you can follow us on Insta or YouTube at Cake Decorating School. If you'd like to know more about yearly membership and what it entails, you can go to www.cakedecoratingschool.com for more information. And if you're interested in these products, you can check the links in the description.